Hey guys, this is the mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today. I wanted to share my thoughts about the situation with 50 Cent and his son Marquis. A few weeks ago, Marquis did an interview with Choke No Joke, complaining that his father, 50 Cent, was only giving his mother $6,700 a month in child support. He said that was not enough. And Choke No Joke was like, that is enough. If your mother's doing what she's supposed to do, that's enough money. There are some women not getting anything in child support, and they're able to make it work. Basically, Marquis exposed himself as an entitled child who has been programmed or brainwashed by his mother to expect a grown man to take care of him. 50 Cent, in my opinion, is doing the right thing. I'm not saying he's doing it in the right way, but 50 Cent wants his son to be a self-sufficient, independent, productive man. So many women complain about dating black men who are baby boys, who are entitled and spoiled and lazy and selfish, and who don't want any responsibilities, who don't want to take accountability for their actions. They don't want to work. They don't want to contribute. They just expect the world to hand them everything the way that they saw their mothers, who were on welfare, right, receive the world handed to them. The government was taking care of their mothers. So these men have the same mentality of, well, I'm going to let another man or institution or woman take care of me too. I shouldn't have to work hard because my mama didn't have to work hard. And my daddy was in jail not working hard either. He was in jail not paying any bills. He was probably in jail hanging out, doing slave labor, but he wasn't really working to maintain a life outside of prison. So the men in our community are basically conditioned to become baby boys, to become dependent on women, to be insecure and lazy and entitled to the fruits of someone else's labor. I think that 50 Cent is trying to starve his son out to ensure that his son is a productive, fulfilled, happy man. A lot of men who are dependent on women or other men, they become bitter. They become resentful. There are so many stories of men who have been coddled by their mothers, at some point killing their mothers because they're resentful of the fact that their mother protected them from everything. And when you protect a man from everything, he doesn't have the opportunity to test his mettle, to develop his masculinity, to strengthen his character, right? His mother, has her daughters doing all the housework while the son gets to do whatever he wants to do. He can come and go as he pleases, right? She'll give him money because she's trying to protect them from the gangs and other women. And a lot of these mothers see their sons as their surrogate husbands. So yeah, these young boys grow up resenting their mothers because the mothers pretty much castrated them. Okay. A lot of young boys are emasculated by their mothers and by women in the community because these young boys, they grow up to be men, and then they find women that will say, it don't matter if you don't have a job. I'll take care of you. All I need is your muscles and your penis. And we can live happily ever after as long as I'm mewling for you and you're loyal to me. You can be my personal sex toy. It doesn't matter what you do. You don't have to contribute anything. As long as I have a man, it's all good. And then we complain about these men resenting us, right? And cheating with women or leaving us for women who demand more of them. Leaving us for their preferences. After we help them to build up to get a certain level of income, they will leave us for women who expect more and who they believe deserve more because of whatever their qualifications are, right? So we keep complaining about these broken men, not understanding that we're helping to break them. And on top of that, we are exploiting their brokenness to validate our sense of worthlessness. So I'm going to get a broken man who doesn't have nothing to offer because I'm insecure about my value. And then I'll get mad when that broken man is broke. That's what we do all the time. So anyway, 50 Cent wants his son to be a self-sufficient, productive man. He wants his son to have a sense of fulfillment that comes from a day of hard work. His son was conditioned by his mother to be entitled and to expect things given to her like the welfare man, right? If 50 Cent was giving his baby mother $25,000 a month and she didn't have to work, a woman who's about her business, right? A woman like Melody Holt or a woman like Latrice from the Bell Collective. Women who are business oriented. Women who want to be self-sufficient. $25,000 a month can be flipped into a pretty lucrative business within a couple of years. Okay. And 50 Cent in his book was like, he kept giving his baby mother money and he was asking her, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing with all this money I'm giving you? How are you planning on becoming independent after my son turns 18 years old? And she pretty much became resentful towards him because he was demanding more of her. And with her bird mouth and her bird mentality, she said that nobody would work if they didn't have to. That's not true. Some people like myself enjoy working. I enjoy being productive and creative. It is not comfortable for me to sit around and receive money from somebody that I did not work for. So 50 Cent was justifiably upset. And then he took her to court, or she took him to court, I think asking for more money, like $50,000 a month. And at the time, she was living with a man who wasn't doing anything in the house. She was living with a man who 50 Cent did not want his son to become like. A man who was dating a woman, not because she was some remarkable, exceptional human being, but he was probably dating her because she was 50 Cent's baby mother and she was living lavish and large, right? With $25,000 a month in child support, tax-free, in a nice mansion. I think it was in Jersey or Long Island. She was living large and he was probably laid up under her. And 50 Cent was like, no, I don't want my son to see this as an example of what manhood is, because guess what? I've had to get it out the mud myself. And he wasn't doing this to like punish his son for his upbringing. 50 Cent wants his son to be happy and fulfilled. And when you are a creative person and you can produce and you are a person contributing to society, you have something to offer, you're not dependent on anyone else, you feel accomplished. You feel like, wow, you feel alive. Like things are happening, okay? A lot of men who are dependent on other men or women are usually abusive, self-destructive, and irresponsible. And 50 Cent does not want that for his son. I believe that there's nothing that would make 50 Cent happier than for his son to prove him wrong and to be the boss that he wants him to be. I honestly think that. So when I was younger, I used to read Aesop's Fables. And one of my favorite fables was about the golden goose. And in the fable, a man had a golden goose, and the golden goose would lay one golden egg per day. No, he had a goose. I'm sorry. And the goose would lay one golden egg per day. Only one, right? And at first, he was so happy about this. But then over time, he became entitled and ungrateful. And he decided to cut the goose open, killing it. And there's no eggs at all. There's no more golden eggs. There's nothing, right? This is what 50 Cent's baby mother tried to do to him. She wasn't satisfied with $25,000 a month in child support. She wanted to cut the golden goose open and get even more, but she ended up with much less. Enough to sustain herself and her son, but not enough to sustain herself and her, boyfriend and her child by another man and another baby. Not enough to do all that without her putting in work herself, right? And so 50 Cent was resentful of that too. This is what happens with people who are entitled and greedy and lazy. They are not appreciative of anything and they will destroy whatever or whoever is giving them the opportunity to live the life of luxury. This is the person who bites the hand that feeds them. We saw what happened with Martell and Melody, how Martell became entitled and ungrateful when Melody was doing all the work for the businesses. He didn't have to do as much because she was taking everything on by herself. He had time to cheat and have a whole affair because his wife was doing all the work. And instead of being appreciative of what his wife was doing to build the family legacy, he decided to go out and cheat and destroy his family because he did not appreciate what his wife was doing. He felt entitled because he didn't have to work for what she had accomplished, right? And this is what happens all the time when you're dealing with people who are ungrateful and selfish and not productive. So 50 Cent does not want this for his son. He wants his son to be his own man. So in his book, 50 Cent talked about the fact that he bought a shoe store or like a whole inventory of shoes for his son to start his own sneaker store. And this is like in the early, maybe 10 years ago, right? I don't know how long ago, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, he did this for his son. And he said his son loves sneakers so much, why don't you sell them and make money out of it? Now that's a $1 million investment that was given to his son. His son didn't have to come up with a business plan. His son didn't have to come up with any money. Nothing. All his father did was give him his gift of a business. But because his son is ungrateful, like his mother, he could not capitalize on the opportunity his father provided for him. And that was when 50 Cent was done. He was like, this is damaged. Like, I have to starve my child out for them to appreciate the value of money. 50 Cent said that he would buy his son a couple pairs of sneakers. And then his son was like, or his mom was like, he should have all of the sneakers in that particular style and color. Because he's 50 Cent's son. Unnecessary nonsense. Just waste and consumerism. And 50 Cent I respect this about him. He was like, no, that's not doing anything for you. Why do you need all these sneakers? Because his mother wanted to live vicariously through her son. His mother wanted to live the lifestyle that she had when she was younger. And so she lucked up, right? Had a baby by a man who was rich or whatever. She was doing things with him, whatever, helping him come up. And he tried to pay it forward to her. He was giving her $25,000 a month in child support. That is a substantial amount of money. And he was taking care of her child by another man on top of that. So he was doing all this for her, and she became greedy and entitled and lazy. And he was like, nah, I'm not doing this. And so rightfully, he pulled back. I understand why he's doing what he's doing. Some people say, well, Black folks need to stop, expecting their children to suffer because they grew up hard. You should be able to give your child a life of luxury because that's what you want. No. When you give somebody luxury and excess without them having to work for it or earn it themselves, they do not appreciate it. There's so many stories of Black parents, working really hard and giving their children a life of privilege only for their children to squander those opportunities because they're lazy and entitled. So many stories of this, not just in the Black community, but in other communities as well. This is why many celebrities do not want to give their children unlimited amounts of money. If you were raised in the best school systems, the best education, the best, living environment, the best, whatever, you have the best upbringing possible, right? And you're in the best colleges. You have all this networking. You have me as a source of information and inspiration, and you still can't make it on your own. I still need to give you millions of dollars for you to have some sort of advantage or for you to do what you're supposed to do. Now, a couple of gifts here and there, an apartment, a car, the first house, that's fine. But to sponsor someone's entire life, no, that's not good for the child. The child becomes lazy and useless, and they usually become horrible relationship partners because they don't know the meaning of collaboration and teamwork and sacrifice. They're used to somebody handing them something all the time. So they'll date somebody and expect that person to be grateful just to be in the room with them. I'm 50 Cent's son. You should be happy to be with me. I'm Will Smith's son. You should be happy to be in the same room with me. I'm so-and-so's son. I'm so-and-so's daughter. And their personalities become trash because they have nothing else to offer but their parents' accomplishments. So 50 Cent, he wants his son to be his own man. He's trying to starve his son out. He wants his son to suffer as much as possible so that he can become appreciative of the blessings and opportunities he's had in his life. He's still 50 Cent's son. He can still use that relationship for something, right? But his father wants him to become independent and self-sufficient. Is he in college? Was he 25 years old now? Still talking about child support? So what happened to that sneaker store that his father bought him? Did he wear those sneakers? You see what happens? What happened to the sneaker store his father bought him? Hundreds of pairs of sneakers. I'm sure he wore those sneakers instead of selling them. I would not be surprised if he did that. I would not be surprised if 50 Cent's son wore those sneakers instead of selling them. Giving a shoe store to somebody who doesn't have work ethic is like giving crack to a crackhead or giving money to a crackhead, right? You're feeding their addictions and their entitlements. And once 50 Cent figured that out, he was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to enable or coddle a grown-ass man. A man who does not have work ethic is useless to a woman and a family. A man who does not have work ethic is useless to society. Not just useless, he's dangerous. Because now, if you don't have any food to eat, instead of getting a job, you'll rob somebody for it. Now, instead of you getting your own place and being an independent man, you're going to lay with somebody, get him pregnant, right? And then not have the resources to take care of your own child, creating more broken homes. Now, if you don't have any money, you'll rob somebody and kill somebody for it. You'll do drugs, right? To cope with your own sense of worthlessness. A man without purpose is dangerous and useless, and he's very self-destructive and horrible to be around. There are so many women putting up pookies and ray-rays because they look good, but they have nothing to offer but drama and disease and dysfunction. Nothing. Drama, disease, dysfunction, babies, burdens, whatever. This happens all the time. These men were psychologically castrated at a young age by somebody, either society or their schools or their community or their parents or whatever. But these men are castrated. They don't want to hunt their own fish. They want someone to give something to them. They're expecting somebody to take care of them. And that's a slow death for a man. How many children of celebrities fail to even take care of themselves? They suffer. They end up living off their parents' estate with nothing else to show for their life besides what their parents did. They can't grow the wealth. They can't build it. right? They can't create anything new. They're pretty much complacent in life. 50 Cent does not want that for his son. That's how much he loves him. He loves his son enough to make him suffer so that at some point he'll appreciate things and work for what he wants. And then he can be useful and productive. Imagine having a son with an excellent work ethic, working with you in your production companies, working with you in music, working with you in fashion. A man who's not doing that is a liability. Imagine him being 25 years old, laying up under his father, expecting an allowance to do what? Floss and stunt on social media, sleep with girls, travel around the world, and then do what? Get into drugs? Now you have unlimited resources, right? Unlimited income, unlimited time, no responsibilities, no obligations, a huge ego. You're going to destroy yourself. You're going to destroy yourself. The money will fuel vices that you have. You're going to meet women who are dating you only for your money. You're going to abuse drugs and alcohol because that's the environment that you're in. You're in the entertainment industry. These are vices of the entitled and the lazy and the spoiled. It's not always the case because some people with addictions, they work really hard. I know a lot of people who are functional addicts and they're workaholics at the same time. They're addicted to work and whatever drug or sex that they're using to cope with their issues. It's not always the case. But imagine giving a lazy man with no work ethic and a limited amount of money. No. That's a disaster waiting to happen. So 50 Cent is starving his son. He wants his son to be a warrior. Like he is. 50 Cent may be a lot of things. Petty, vindictive, angry, bitter, whatever the case may be, right? But he's a hardworking man. And he does love his son. That's his firstborn. And he's a Cancer male. Okay? So when he was younger, his son was with him everywhere. He dressed him up as a mini-me. But at some point, he got turned up when he saw more of his mother's ways in him. The laziness. Nobody wants to be around a lazy man. That's infuriating. I cannot be around a lazy man. That makes me itch and it makes me feel claustrophobic and tired. Do not be around me if you're lazy and a grown man. What are you here for? So he doesn't want his son to be a burden on anybody. A part of it is because 50 Cent was not allowed to rely on anyone himself. He had to become his own man. And he became, a boss. In spite of everything he's been through. Haters, murder attempts, mother not being in the home, daddy not there, poverty, crime. This man is a boss. And he has adopted a certain Spartan mindset. He's very Spartan, very stoic, very extreme. To survive and to thrive. 50 Cent is a product of his environment. He's a product of a community that devours its children. So he said, I'm not being devoured by shit. I'm going to survive and thrive. And unfortunately, he had to take on a mindset and a mentality that is petty and vindictive and paranoid because that's the situation and circumstances he was raised in. People trying to kill him, people trying to abuse him, people trying to rob him, take advantage of him. He's going through a lot, right? And like I said, he's not perfect. He's not my favorite person at all. But I respect him. I respect his work ethic. I respect his business acumen. I respect the fact that he tried to do for his baby mother and take care of her child with somebody else. He was really doing the best that he could with what he had. It's just that he did not want to poison his son with a sense of entitlement that would make him weak and miserable and petty and useless and self-destructive. It always happens this way. He wants what's best for his son. So he's going to starve him out. Marquis is going to have to go through a deep detox. He had to purge his mother's mentality from him. I'm your son. I should have what you have. Why wouldn't you want your son to do that? Why wouldn't you want your son to have the things you didn't have? No, I want you to be a man and self-sufficient. That's all. That'll make you much happier than depending on somebody else for your sustenance, for your life. Come on now. As a woman, I wouldn't be comfortable with that situation because that can be removed from your life at a moment's notice. Being dependent on someone and then something happens to them for whatever reason, they get killed or they get injured, they're sick, they get mad at you. And then you're what? You're asked out after you were making $25,000 a month for years. You couldn't flip that into a business for you and your son and your daughter to inherit so that they don't have to work for somebody else. Come on now. That's not, we got to do better than that. We have to do better than that. So yeah, 50 Cent is right in what he's doing. He's starving his son out. He's teaching his son a valuable lesson about appreciating and being productive. If you're not appreciative, you won't be productive. You'll feel entitled to somebody else's money as a grown man. And how good of a husband can you be if you think that the world owes you something? His son seems to be the type to do almost anything for money. If I was 50 Cent, I would be very weary of my son. I would be on the lookout for him. Because a man who does not have work ethic will do anything for a come up. I can't trust someone like that around me. I'm not saying that his son hates his father, but I heard that his son was hanging out with the son of the men who tried to kill him, right? Just to get at him. Yeah, his son has a vindictive streak too, right? And I think until his son grows up, 50 Cent should stay away from him to protect him and to help his son grow up a little bit more, to become his own man. Give it 5 years. When his Saturn return hits, 3 years even, when that Saturn return hits, it's a wrap. He's going to learn some stuff. He's going to figure it out. And then maybe when his Saturn return is over, he'll be able to have the maturity to come to the table, to speak to his father as a man. With something to offer. A degree, right? A business plan, something. To say, listen, I'm ready now. You were right. This is why you were right. I learned this, that, and the third. I went through this, that, and the other. Just give his father reassurance that he's on the right track. But I don't think 50 Cent is done with his son unless his son decides to stay the same way. I think if his son changes and shows and proves that he's ready to be a self-sufficient, productive man, 50 Cent will open his arms to him again. I think so. I'm not saying for sure, but I think he will. He'll soften up to him because he sees his son trying. He wants his son to become that person. That's all. And so, yeah, this is called tough love. Instead of spanking him, he can't spank him anymore, right? The child support is done. Instead of doing all that, he just removed his presence from his son's life. He removed his support, his attention, his affection. He removed everything from his son that he was giving him. And so hopefully he's learning his lesson. And hopefully his mother is not telling him nonsense to keep him angry with his father, as if his father did something bad to him. No, like I said, he could have given him more money, but he was given more money before, and it created this rot. Laziness, entitlement, vindictiveness, all the nasty characteristics people have when, they feel like you owe them something that they didn't work for. Now you're mad at me for cutting you off from something that you felt entitled to, which you were not. You didn't work for this money. I was hooking you up because you were my baby mother and you looked out for me when I had nothing and I wanted you to be good. But, me treating you like this is not helping you or my son. I want you to be self-sufficient. That's it. And then it got really bitter between them and now he's done. So, yeah, I wonder what you guys think about it. How do you think 50 Cent should handle the situation? Do you agree with the way that he's treating him? Do you think that, Marquis has a point in saying that $6,700 a month is not enough in child support? If you were 50 Cent, what would you do? Or if you were married to 50 Cent, if 50 Cent was the father of your child, how would you feel about the way he's treating your son? I'm interested in hearing your thoughts about that because it's kind of controversial. Someone would say, well, he should give his son as much as he can because Black children shouldn't have to suffer. If their parents suffered, they should have a life of luxury. That's all good. But luxury without purpose makes a person who is entitled and narcissistic and a monster. Okay? All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.